What's up? It's the Coaster Quiz, and before I start this review of Hersheypark, I would just like to give a brief explanation of how I do park reviews, since it's been a while since my last one. So basically, I like to do as objective as possible first, where I do each individual category that I chose upon. I have a varying amount of points depending on how much importance I think the category holds. Get it out of 40, the total score, and then I divide by 4 for what I think that park deserves on a more objective, well-rounded scale out of 10. Of course, it's not completely objective because these are my opinions on each respective category, but this still kind of gives like an overall just examination of how good and well-rounded the park is rather than how much I like it, because then at the end I'll give my personal score out of 10. So it's time to get on with the video reviewing Hersheypark. So Hersheypark is a large American amusement park owned by the Hershey Entertainment Company located in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and is currently home to 13 roller coasters, but will be receiving its 14th with Candemonium in the new front entrance area of Chocolate Town later this year. In addition to the amusement park, right next door is a free admission Hershey's Chocolate World, where they have a factory tour and a massive gift shop that feature Hershey chocolate. Other things included with admission to Hersheypark are the Boardwalk Water Park and Zoo America. And for me personally, it is one of the parks I've attended the most. I've been going since I was a little kid. I think I started going like 2005. And overall, I think now I have about 8 visits to the park, and each in different years. And so let's start my first category, which is appearance and cleanliness, which is out of 5. And Hersheypark is fantastic with this. The park is always clean. Every time I've gone, I've been really impressed by that. The water park included, just every aspect of it's really nice. And the appearance is beautiful too. They do a great job with landscaping. As you see, I'm walking through the park, especially some of the areas that are more forested in like the Pioneer Frontier area and just around like the back end of the park, but also by like that little river near like Great Bear and Super Duper Looper. The entire park is just very photogenic, and I love how all the coasters interact in this pretty small space. It's a very impressive and a really beautiful park. So Hersheypark gets a perfect 5 out of 5 for appearance and cleanliness. Moving on to theming, Hersheypark isn't nearly as good at this. This category is out of 4, and it entails like overall park theming, like different sections of the park, so not individual rides, because Hersheypark does have some very well themed rides, but the sections are not the most distinguishable from each other. I would say the most themed one, the best maybe, is the midway section in the back of the park, which I love the ambiance of like kind of old-fashioned Americana amusement park, but in a way it's kind of almost themed to itself with the rides there, like the Music Express and the Whip and the Ferris wheel and stuff. The boardwalk also has some nice touches as theming, but the rest of the park isn't super well themed or anything, and there's not even much chocolate theming besides like the characters walking around. I know they're doing a good job with some of the more recent rides getting chocolate theming, but overall, this is not really a theme park. It's just a really pretty amusement park, so it's getting a 1 out of 4 for theming. Operations, which is out of 4, is up next, and Hersheypark is phenomenal with this. It's a super popular park, so they get a lot of big lines, but their coasters are pretty high capacity, and they have a good amount of them, so that like they keep the lines moving. Yes, some of them aren't the best job, but like the dual loading station on Storm Runner is really good. Skyrush has like 3 trains. Great Bear has like 3 trains, and they keep them going. The employees do a fast job with operations, and though the lines might still be pretty long, I think that's really impressive that they're able to get insane crowds, and you're still able to manage getting on all the rides you want to in a day. So I'm giving them a perfect 4 out of 4 for operations. Really nice job. Employees, atmosphere, and charm is up next. It's out of 3, and I remember originally when I went to Hersheypark for a couple years, I had some not very good experiences with some employees, but since then it's been really good. The employees are pretty great at the park, and honestly the charm and atmosphere are one of the strongest things. This park has been open for over 100 years, and I love everything about it in terms of just like the Hershey aesthetic with all the characters roaming around. I love to dance with them as a little kid, as you saw earlier. There's the statue of like Milton Hershey at the front of the park. Then there's also like the measurements for like what height group you are, like if you're a Jolly Rancher or a Twizzler. Everyone around here talks about that when you're a little kid. And finally, on my most recent visit, I was super impressed by the sheer amount of like street performers throughout the park that just add such a great energy to it. It's such a fun place to be in. It has such a great unique charm. Of course, a 3 out of 3 here. Family and kids rides is up next. That's out of 5, and Hersheypark does a pretty great job here. I mean, The kiddie rides are just great. Like, as a little kid experiencing all of them, these were some of my favorite rides. I still remember them to this day, like the Ladybug, the Starship America, the Busy Bees, all of those good rides. And the family rides are pretty good too. They have some really great old-fashioned ones like the Music Express and the Whip. Every time I go, I ride the Whip. They have a great Ferris wheel. They have some water rides like Tidal Force, which was like my first pretty big ride. It was super, super fun. It's a pretty big drop. The Cold Cracker Log Flume. They have a really solid dark ride too, which I haven't gotten to ride, but Cup Fusion looks phenomenal. And overall, they just have a really good collection. I mean, they check off all the boxes, so another 5 out of 5. This perfect streak has got to end, and that's going to come with Thrill Rides, which is out of 5. And they only actually have 2. One is the Huss Frisbee, the Claw, which is only like 64 feet tall, so that's kind of mediocre. And then the other is Hershey's Triple Tower, which is pretty cool. It's like 3 S&S combo launch drop towers, and they're varying heights. The tallest one's like 180 feet. It's not bad, but that's it. They only have 2, and they really could use a lot more thrill rides. So for this category, I'm only going to give them a 2 out of 5. So coasters is the biggest category, of course, at least in my opinion, and it's out of 7. And yeah, Hersheypark pretty much excels here. They have a great collection of family coasters, intermediate coasters, thrilling coasters. They have some top class ones like Storm Runner and Sky Rush and Fahrenheit. They have great woodies like Lightning Racer and Comet. Yeah, they only have probably like 2 bad coasters like Sidewinder and Wildcat. So overall, the quality is fantastic and the quantity is really excellent. They're getting their 14th this year with Candemonium, which is going to be another top-notch coaster. And there's very few lineups in the world that are better than Hersheypark's, so I gotta give them all 7 points for this. Really great job there. Hersheypark's pricing is kind of strange because if you look at the website, it says that it's regularly $74 for tickets, which is really, really expensive. But right now it's going for $44 until the end of the month, which is a great deal. And always you can find some deal where it's like around $60, somewhere in the $55 to $60 range. I found often for daily tickets, which I think is still a pretty solid deal and not too bad. Season passes are pretty expensive, with like kind of the smallest one being $142. It still pays for itself in like a little over 3 visits, which is not too bad at all. I'm just used to the Six Flags one where it pays for itself in practically 1 visit. Still though, Hersheypark is a pretty solid price park when you think about all the things you're getting. However, some of the original prices are a bit expensive, so it's getting a 3 out of 4 here. So with food, which is out of 3, Hersheypark usually just has kind of the pretty standard options. There's some barbecue, there's like chicken Pete's with the chicken tenders, there's a lot of pizza places, but they do have some cooler options, like some very good chains like Moe's Southwest Grill. They have Nathan's Hot Dogs in the water park, and then they have some more interesting ones like a Gyro place, and a few others, but the main things that I think the big draw are the snacks. They have phenomenal kettle corn that they make right in front of you. It's really, really awesome. And then they also have, of course, a ton of Hershey chocolate and some really famous and really spectacular milkshakes. I've never had one, but I've heard they're phenomenal. So for those kind of more specialty items, I'm still going to give them a 2 out of 3. So those are all the main categories out of 40, but then there's also the extras, and Hersheypark actually does a great job with the extras. So first there's the water park. They have the boardwalk. It's included with admission, and they're going to be receiving 2 extra points for the boardwalk, as it is a pretty solid water park. It was never like that good until they got the Breaker's Edge water coaster and the Whitecap racers, mat racers, which are pretty great. The water coaster really is phenomenal, but it does get long lines. And then some of the other slides they have, like the big funnel slides, are pretty fun, and they have a phenomenal play structure. So 2 points there. They're getting 1 point for Zoo America, which is a pretty solid full-size zoo, and then they're going to get 1 more point for Chocolate World, which has that free like dark ride, which is pretty awesome, and then of course has a big store and a lot of other things that the little kids can do that you can pay extra for. So that's not really included with admission except for the dark ride, but for that I'm still giving it an extra point. So now let's total up all those points and see what it gets out of 40. And no, I can't believe I'm doing math for a coaster video. But when you total it all up, you get to 36 out of 40, you divide by 4, and that's a 9 out of 10, which on my scale of just well-roundedness, that's pretty spectacular, and it matches pretty well up to what I think of the park. Of course, it's not perfect. No park is perfect. This scale is pretty much impossible to get a 10 out of 10 on, but this is actually my favorite park I've ever been to. Yep, I love Hersheypark to death. I know there's a lot of sentimental value to it, as I've talked about earlier in this video, but everything, just going there, it's such a great time. I love coasters, of course, and they really have a phenomenal collection. It's a great park for families as well, and the family can stay together the entire time because I love how Hersheypark, they put like the family rides right by the coasters and the big rides, and overall, just a really great time. Sure, it's not the most theme park, this isn't Disney World or anything, but it's a blast, and you're getting a pretty good bang for your buck with the Zoo America Boardwalk Water Park if it's the summertime, and also Hershey's Chocolate World. So yeah, my personal score is, of course, a 10 out of 10 since this is my favorite park. So I'd love to know what you guys think of Hersheypark in the comment section down below. Make sure to also comment suggestions for future videos if you have any. Like and subscribe for more awesome coaster videos. There's a lot more coming soon. I hope you enjoyed. See you guys later from the Coaster Crits. Bye.